The distress beacon had been broadcasting for 72 cycles when the Galactic Council finally convened to discuss the crisis on Valoria Prime. The chamber, a magnificent dome of crystalline architecture floating in the void between star systems, hummed with anxious energy as representatives from 47 species gathered in their designated atmospheric pods. Ambassador Threlzan of the Korthan Collective rose from his gelatinous resting platform, his translucent form pulsing with bioluminescent urgency. Esteemed members of the Council, his voice resonated through the universal translators, the situation on Valoria Prime grows more dire with each passing moment. The Devourers have breached the outer defenses. 2 billion souls, Valorians, Ashkari refugees, and Prin traders, face extinction within 10 planetary rotations. A wave of distressed chirps, clicks, and harmonic frequencies rippled through the assembly. The Devourers. The name alone sent shivers through the collective consciousness of civilized space. They were an ancient scourge, a race of mechanical horrors that consumed entire worlds, stripping them of all biological matter and resources before moving on to their next victim like locusts made of living metal. "What forces can we muster?" asked High Curator Voss, her 4 eyes blinking in sequence as her feathered crest flattened against her skull, a sign of deep concern among her people. Threlzan's form darkened. "Our nearest battle fleet is 20 cycles away. The Kresh Armada is engaged in the outer territories. The Yulani have offered their defense platforms, but they cannot be mobilized in time." He paused, his internal organs visible through his transparent skin as they churned with anxiety. "There is one possibility." The chamber fell silent. Even the atmospheric processors seemed to hold their breath. "No," whispered someone from the Ashkari delegation. "Not them." Threlzan continued, his voice steady despite his visible discomfort. "The human fleet is conducting training exercises in Sector 7. They are 3 cycles away from Valoria Prime. They have the speed, and they have the capabilities." The chamber erupted in chaos. Voices overlapped in a dozen languages, none of them supportive. "The humans are unstable. They've been starfaring for less than 2 centuries. They're Deathworlders. Barbarians. Have you seen what they consider entertainment? They deliberately frighten themselves for pleasure." High Curator Voss raised her wing arms, calling for silence. "Ambassador Threlzan, need I remind you that humans are under probationary status with the Council? They've violated the Warfare Convention 17 times in just 50 years. 17 times. They refuse to use proper battlefield etiquette, they ignore surrender protocols, and they have a disturbing tendency to simply improvise during combat situations." "I am aware," Threlzan replied calmly. "I am also aware that 2 billion people will die if we do not act." The vote was close, but desperation won over fear. The message was sent. Captain Maria Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the UENS Indomitable, reading the incoming transmission with growing disbelief. Around her, the bridge crew of the massive dreadnought went about their duties with practiced efficiency, but she could feel the shift in energy as the message propagated through the command structure. "They're actually asking us for help," Lieutenant James O'Connor said from the tactical station, his Irish accent thick with surprise. "The same council that called us barely civilized last year." "Apparently, desperate times call for desperate measures," Rodriguez replied, pulling up the tactical data on Valoria Prime. Her dark eyes scanned the numbers, and her expression hardened. "The Devourers. I've read about these things. The councils fought them to a stalemate 3 times in the last millennium. Each time, they lost dozens of worlds." "What are our orders, Captain?" asked Commander Pavel Volkov from the navigation station. Rodriguez looked at the estimated death toll, at the faces of Valorian children in the attached cultural database, at the desperate plea buried in the formal council speak of the message. She thought about her own daughter, safe on Earth, and made her decision. "Set course for Valoria Prime. Maximum burn. And send a message to the fleet, we're going to war." "Captain," O'Connor interjected, "the council fleet is 20 cycles out. We'll be alone there for over 2 weeks. Then we'd better make those 2 weeks count. She turned to the communications officer. Get me Admiral Okonkwo. We're going to need the entire battle group for this. Within the hour, 12 human warships broke formation and jumped to faster-than-light speeds, their fusion drives burning with an intensity that would have alarmed any species that hadn't evolved on a planet trying to kill them at every turn. The Devourers had just begun their assault on Valoria Prime's second defensive ring when the human fleet arrived. Their sensors detected the incoming ships, analyzed them, and dismissed them. 12 vessels against a swarm of 10,000. The calculation was simple. These new participants would be consumed within moments. The calculations proved to be catastrophically incorrect. The UENS Indomitable didn't bother with hailing frequencies or warning shots. It emerged from FTL space already firing, its railguns launching tungsten projectiles at relativistic speeds. The first volley took out 200 Devourer ships before they could even adjust their formation. But it was what came next that would be discussed in Galactic Council chambers for generations to come. The humans didn't fight like any civilized species. They didn't maintain proper formation. They didn't target military installations first. They didn't follow any recognizable tactical doctrine that appeared in any military academy's curriculum. Instead, they fought like the Death Worlders they were, with a terrifying combination of creativity, aggression, and absolute refusal to accept defeat. The destroyer UNS Crazy Horse, when surrounded by enemy vessels, didn't attempt to retreat. Instead, Captain Running Bear vented the ship's entire reactor coolant system while simultaneously overloading the jump drive. The resulting explosion created a temporary rift in spacetime that swallowed 3,000 Devourer ships. The frigate UNS Defiant, its weapons depleted, rammed directly into a Devourer carrier at near-light speed, becoming a kinetic weapon that carved through the enemy formation like a bullet through paper. When the Devourers adapted their shields to human railgun frequencies, the humans switched to missiles. When the Devourers adapted to missiles, the humans started using their point defense lasers as primary weapons, focusing multiple beams on single targets. When that stopped working, one innovative engineer on the UENS Relentless figured out how to weaponize the ship's waste recycling system, firing frozen sewage wrapped in debris at such high speeds that it punched through Devourer armor. It was disgusting, unsophisticated, and absolutely effective. The Devourers had never encountered a species that treated warfare not as a chess match of strategic moves but as a problem to be solved by any means necessary. Humans didn't have elegant solutions, they had practical ones, born from a million years of evolution on a planet where everything from the weather to the wildlife was actively trying to kill them. Ambassador Threlzen watched the battle from Valoria Prime's orbital command center, his form fluctuating between colors of amazement and horror. Beside him, High Curator Voss had gone completely silent, her 4 eyes unable to look away from the tactical display. "They're singing," whispered one of the Valorian technicians, her hands trembling as she monitored human communications. In the middle of battle, they're singing. It was true. The crew of the UENS Indomitable had started singing an ancient human war song, something about the halls of Montezuma and the shores of Tripoli, as they systematically dismantled the Devourer fleet piece by piece. "This is insane," Voss breathed. "They're outnumbered 800 to 1. 700 to 1 now," Threlzen corrected, watching another cluster of Devourer vessels disappear from the display. The battle raged for 6 days. 6 days of continuous fighting without rest, without retreat, without mercy. The humans cycled their crews through combat shifts, eating and sleeping at their stations, refusing to give the Devourers a moment's respite. When the Council fleet finally arrived, they found the space around Valoria Prime littered with debris from over 9,000 Devourer ships. The human fleet, or what remained of it, floated among the wreckage. Only 7 of the 12 ships were still operational. The others were twisted hulks of metal, their crews having fought literally until their ships couldn't fight anymore. But Valoria Prime was saved. The medal ceremony took place aboard the repaired UNS Indomitable. Captain Rodriguez stood at attention as Ambassador Threlzen approached, carrying the Star of Valor, the highest military honor the Galactic Council could bestow. Captain Rodriguez, Threlzan began, his voice carrying through the assembled crew, on behalf of 2 billion souls and the Galactic Council, I present you with. With respect, Ambassador, Rodriguez interrupted, any medal you want to give should go to my crew. All of them. Including the ones who didn't make it home. Threlzan paused, then slowly changed color to a deep, respectful purple. Your humility honors them, Captain. But I must ask, how did you do it? How did 12 ships defeat an army that has destroyed entire civilizations? Rodriguez smiled, a dangerous expression that made the ambassador's form ripple with instinctive unease. You called us barbarians once. Deathworlders. Unstable. You were right about all of it. But what you forgot is that Earth didn't just make us strong, it made us stubborn. When you're from a planet where the ocean can swallow cities, where the ground itself can shake apart buildings, where storms can level entire regions, you learn one fundamental truth: you never, ever give up. Not when the odds are against you. Not when logic says you should retreat. You find a way, or you make one. She looked out at the stars through the observation window, at the peaceful void that had so recently been a battlefield. You asked for help, Ambassador. You got the most dangerous beings in the galaxy, not because we're the strongest or the smartest, but because we're the ones who are too stupid to know when we're supposed to lose. Threlzan was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he said, the Council will be voting on your probationary status next cycle. I believe the outcome is no longer in question. Good, Rodriguez replied. Because next time something threatens this galaxy, we won't need an invitation to fight. That's the other thing about humans, Ambassador, we protect our friends. And like it or not, you're all our friends now. As Threlzan departed, High Curator Voss approached. Your species terrifies me, Captain. Good, Rodriguez said again, her smile softening slightly. We terrify ourselves sometimes too. But I'll let you in on a secret: the thing that makes humans dangerous isn't our aggression or our stubborn refusal to quit. It's that we genuinely believe we can make things better. That's worth fighting for. That's worth dying for. She turned back to her crew. All right, people. Repairs are at 70%. Let's get this ship ready to sail. Something tells me the galaxy's going to need us again. In the depths of space, as the human fleet prepared for departure, the galaxy watched and learned a new truth: humanity had arrived, and the universe would never be the same.